Hi everyone, this is Tan. Welcome back to another episode of the Man to Man Coverage Podcast. Today I'm joined by my good friend and co-host Mason.
What's up, guys?
Mason, how are you? We're into December, almost end of this year. How are you holding up?
Pretty good. We're getting into the point of the NFL as well, where we're kind of looking at how the playoffs are going to look, and we got obviously our topic of the day, the Pro Bowl. So it's good. It's a good month for sure of football.
Yeah, Mason's just spoiling what we're talking about. But in all seriousness, I like December football because it's kind of the end of the season, a lot of intense games. I feel like football kind of alternates great months. I feel like it just kind of goes on and off. I thought November had some interesting games, but things are going to really ramp up here in this month. And we're going to do the Pro Bowl today. I thought that, there's a lot going on with teams shifting up and down. And I just thought that the Pro Bowl would be a good way to kind of talk about all these teams and players in kind of this one area here in this kind of refreshing way. So I thought that would be kind of a good idea. So the way we divide this up was by conference. So for each position, you basically get 6 votes, and um, we decided to do 3 per conference. So offensively, I'll be doing AFC. Mason, you'll be doing NFC for the offense, and then defense. We'll switch. So I'll do the NFC defense, and you'll do the AFC defense, and then special teams. I don't know. We'll just decide.
Yeah, we can just do it together for special teams.
Yeah, that sounds good. So this was very hard to do. I tried to do my own ballot before this episode, but I had trouble. I think that there's been a lot of kind of mixed talent, and at least for me, it was kind of hard to do. So I want to start though with the AFC quarterbacks. The 3 I have, this was really tough to come up with, but the first one I have is Lamar Jackson. I think this year has really established Lamar Jackson as his kind of top quarterback who's going to be there year in and year out, right? I think that he just kind of has gone to the point where he's great outside the pocket, running, being mobile, but he's also very good in the pocket. I like the way he reads the field. He has very good short and medium accuracy. Kind of reminds me a lot of Drew Brees in that way to an extent, and he's really helped the Ravens win games. The Ravens usually win games because of Lamar Jackson, whether it be a game-winning touchdown on him, putting him in field goal range. So you know, definitely the stats don't look fantastic. The 12 picks, yikes, but that was from that one Browns game we just had, and he ended up winning that. So I think Lamar definitely deserves a Pro Bowl nod. And then I'm gonna go with Justin Herbert. He's definitely had his struggles, but his great games are really great. He just gets the ball out really quickly. He really hits a lot of those deep intermediate throws really well. He kind of has this ability to read the field and just hit the plays and targets he wants to do. He's really good with kind of connecting in traffic. Like a lot of plays he has is from anticipation where the ball's here and his playmakers coming across and just boom, they hit in the middle. And the Chargers are 6-5, and I think Herbert's a huge part why. I think if Herbert and Jackson are not on their teams, those teams are probably 3 or 4 wins, being honest. Then it came down between Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen for me. I did have Derek Carr in consideration. He's just been too inconsistent. It seems like every great game he has a bad game. I didn't have Joe Burrow. I think that the Bengals have had more of a running game presence. So between Mahomes and Allen, I'm gonna go with Mahomes. It seems like forever, even Josh Allen, if he has a great game, he still has mistakes like that Thanksgiving game against the Saints. He had like 4 touchdowns, which is awesome, yay! But he also had like 2 picks. So it seems like Allen has kind of been those mistakes have been brought up this season. He still is a pretty good top 10, probably top 7 quarterback. I just think Mahomes has been a lot more explosive. So that's why I have Jackson, Herbert, Mahomes, um, Mac Jones, maybe you could consider, but yeah, that's who I have.
Yeah, definitely like those selections. I think Herbert's definitely a lock for the Pro Bowl this year. He's just been
Mhm.
playing phenomenal, fan favorite as well, leading the Chargers really well. Lamar Jackson stats aren't always there this season, but kind of what you said, like he's very important to his team, and I think that matters a lot when you're talking about the best of the best in the NFL. And he's a good reason why they've
Mhm.
been winning so many games. I mean, they've had a lot of injuries dealt with, but they're still number one in the AFC seeding, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, as of today. So that's a really big part of that is from Lamar Jackson. And then Mahomes had a kind of a struggle in the beginning of the first half of the season, but now the past couple weeks, and the Chiefs as a whole, they've really picked it up. I mean, Mahomes has the beginning of the year, his turnovers are a big issue. He's really cut that down. He's playing kind of like the Patrick Mahomes we all know, and love basically. So he's been playing absolutely phenomenal this past couple weeks. And like you said about Derek Carr too, Derek Carr, he's really good at getting the ball downfield, but there are times where it's kind of some games he kind of just like lacks. Like in the Cowboys game, he played really good, but then you go back, I believe I forgot who they got blown out by. I think it was they got blown out the other week. I completely forgot who it
They've
was,
been
but
blown by the Chiefs recently.
yeah, the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. Yeah, they got blown out by them, and for a Pro Bowl quarterback, you kind of want the quarterback to step up in primetime games and stuff like that. I think Josh Allen's a close honorable mention, though. I think he'd probably be like a reserve if any of these guys decide not to go or go to the Super Bowl or something. But heading into my quarterbacks, my first one, no brainer, Tom Brady. He's been absolutely phenomenal. He's phenomenal every year. I mean, he's leading the league in touchdowns. He's second in yards. Buccaneers, kind of not, I wouldn't say a disappointing year, but they have like 3 losses, which I think people expect them to probably have like 1 or 2 at this point, but still a great team nonetheless. Going to contend for a Super Bowl in the postseason for sure. And then talking about my second guy, I think if you asked me 3 weeks ago, I probably would have put Stafford in here, but the way he's been playing these past couple weeks, I'm going to have to go with Rodgers over him because I think Rodgers has really stepped it up, especially in that duel they had recently. I think Rodgers kind of proved why he's Aaron Rodgers, and he's been phenomenal. I think he's having a really quietly underrated year. 23 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and I think and 3 of those picks were in week 1. So since week 1, he's only had 1 interception, which is absolutely mind-boggling about like how he's literally the best quarterback to ever like not turn over the football, and he continues to do that in his later age. And then my last quarterback, a guy who hasn't played the past couple weeks, but I think it's just too hard not to put him in. I have to go Kyler Murray. I think these next weeks he's going to show why he should be back in the MVP race. Don't know if he'll win it just because he did miss 3 games, but I definitely think he should be in the Pro Bowl just because he was the best quarterback in the NFL before he got hurt, and now he's going to come back off injury, and I think he's going to continue to play the same way he did because he got 4 weeks of rest. So I think he's going to be back 100% healthy. But talking about some of these other guys, though, like Kirk Cousins, I think he's a really good selection that you can make as well. I think he's been phenomenal. Dak Prescott's been good. But then a guy I want to talk about in the AFC real quick, just since we're on the quarterback topics. I think Carson Wentz is having a very underrated season. I don't think he's probably in the Pro Bowl conversation, but I think he's having a quietly underrated year. I mean, the game against the Buccaneers was a heartbreaking loss, but Jonathan Taylor really didn't do much, and you kind of expected Taylor to be the one to carry the load that week, but Wentz really stepped it up big time. So I really like to see that from him. But kind of like what you said, I feel like this year for especially quarterbacks, it's very close. Like there's a lot of talented quarterbacks this year. But yeah, definitely my 3 will be Brady, Rodgers, and Kyler.
Yeah, I definitely love what you said there, Mason. People hate Carson Wentz. Like he'll play great and no one says anything. And then he makes like one bad play and be like, oh, Carson Wentz is bad. It's just kind of ridiculous. I really like Wentz. For me, he's not playing as bad as he did the Eagles like last year, but he's not his MVP self as in 2017. He's kind of in this middle ground where he's playing really smart football. I feel like he's going through his reads well. He just kind of has that control of the field. He's kind of someone almost like a Andy Dalton with the Bengals, except mobile. And I think we've seen that.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna have some misplays here and there, but he's definitely kind of a franchise quarterback. He's not gonna wow you, but he's gonna play pretty good and win you games and keep you in them. I thought that Colts Buccaneers game was fantastic, definitely a top tier game. People, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to go too much in it, but it seems like ever since that whole Aaron Rodgers trade rumors around the draft, people just find a way to dislike him. It seems like throughout this season, I know there's been some stuff, but I feel like he's kind of getting disrespect. I think he's played really well. I love Aaron Rodgers out there with the long hair. Looks like a man on his last journey, kind of giving some Logan vibes out there. I did also want to bring attention here real quick to Jimmy Garoppolo. I think people have kind of moved on from him because they're talking about Trey Lance, who's exciting, but I think Garoppolo these past couple weeks has played really good, and I think he should get talked about more. I could see him definitely as an alternate. And then Ryan Tannehill has been super disappointing, especially him and Matt Ryan. Yeah, thumbs down for them. But that's what we have for quarterbacks. I really like that. I don't know if I agree 100% with the Kyle Murray take. I'll probably have Dak over there, but Murray, I do think has played pretty well when he's played. All right, running backs for me, this was super easy. Jonathan Taylor, there's not a lot to say. Jonathan Taylor just does everything well. He's like strong, fast, elusive, great catching back. For me, what really makes him great though is his ability to kind of have that ball carrier vision. I think that for running backs, you have to gauge when to hit a hole and when not to, because if you do and miss, it's not going to work out. I think that's something Taylor's mastered, and I think it's a very underrated aspect of his game. And he's been fantastic. I mean, he's really helped the Colts. So he's one. Then we have Joe Mixon two. It's so nice to finally see Joe Mixon have this season. He's kind of been injured before, and it's just nice to finally see him just kind of hit his potential with Joe Burrow and crew. I think, you saw in the Steelers game just how important he is. And what I love about Mixon is he's a strong back, but he's fast. Sometimes stronger backs are slow, but no, Mixon can hit it. I really love the way he plays, and that Bengals team, I mean, they're playing really well. And then Nick Chubb is third for me. He just has kind of been the Browns offense. I remember a couple of weeks ago when the Browns beat the Lions barely, it was because of Nick Chubb. He's the reason Cleveland's winning, especially with Baker Mayfield playing poorly. That's it. Who I have for AFC running backs. Damian Harris has kind of entered the conversation. He's been really nice. I have him on fantasy, so that's been cool to see. He's a really elusive back who can kind of make cuts and jukes. I just think that Nick Chubb's done more for that Browns offense. And if Derrick Henry was healthy, maybe he's there. If Urban Meyer actually ran the ball with James Robinson, maybe he'll be there. But that's who I have here for the AFC running backs is Taylor, Mixon, Chubb.
Yeah, I definitely think that's probably going to be the unanimous three. I think this is definitely the three we're going to see in the Pro Bowl
Mhm.
um, come January for sure. Because Taylor, obviously, not only is he in the Pro Bowl, like he's leading the votes already, but he's in the MVP conversation. He's really entered that race late in the year. Joe Mixon, he's been honestly really phenomenal all year.
Mhm.
And you look at the stats there. He's one of the only running backs to not fumble this year. Really impressive from him. And then Nick Chubb, I mean, you look at his stats too. I mean, 867 yards, and he missed a couple of games as well,
Mhm.
I think due to COVID protocols and maybe some other injuries. But he's been playing absolutely phenomenal. But then I think this was a great point to make as well, as like you kind of look at the AFC running backs, and it kind of like you kind of see how many more there are than the NFC. Because I had a really tough time picking some of these NFC guys because there's not a ton of them, especially since like guys like Kamara, McCaffrey are injured, and Aaron Jones. But my first two pretty easy: Dalvin Cook, Ezekiel Elliott. Kind of gonna group them together because they've been playing very similar.
Mhm.
Dalvin Cook's been injured. But when he plays, he's been absolutely phenomenal. Um, he got injured again though, so hopefully he it won't be out too long. But he's been playing really good. Not in getting in the end zone as much as he did last year, but I think that has a lot to do with Kirk Cousins playing really phenomenal this year. So I don't really want to take that away from Cook. And then Ezekiel Elliott, I don't think enough people are talking about how good of a year he's having. Um, he had a big fumbling issue last year. It hasn't been that way this year. Um, at the beginning of the year, people were like, "Oh, Pollard's going to take his spot." Then Ezekiel Elliott's really stepped up big time. He's getting 5 yards a carry. I mean, that's really good for Ezekiel Elliott. So I really like to see that because he's been getting a lot of hate the past 2 years, saying he's washed, but he's really proving why he's probably a top 7 running back again. And then my last one, this one was kind of tough, but then I kind of saw this guy. I'm like, there's no way this guy cannot make the Pro Bowl. I'm going Cordero Patterson as my third selection. I think he's a running back, wide receiver, and then it just came out today that the Falcons put him in as a safety. They might put him at safety this week. So this man is literally going to play all three phases of football probably. And we probably haven't seen that in football probably since like the 1970s. So that just kind of goes to show how well Cordell Patterson has been. I just don't think there's a way he cannot make the Pro Bowl. Um, I think he's just been too phenomenal on special teams. He's been catching the ball, lining up a receiver. He's been getting more carries this year, and he's been doing really well at that. So I really like to see that because Cordero Patterson coming into his NFL career was kind of just known as a kick return guy, but he's really evolved his game into just being an all-around weapon. So really excited for him. Definitely a career year for him, and I think he's definitely proved like he's the best player on the Falcons team this year. So I'm really happy for him.
Yeah, if you would have told me that there had been someone Falcons who's going to emerge, I would not have guessed Cordell Patterson, but I'm really happy for him. As you mentioned, he was a kick returner. He was really good though. He was like
Mhm.
an explosive player, and I think it makes sense that he's doing well. I love these selections. I think Zeke, I just love watching him play. You know, I'm an Eagles fan. I just love to see it. Kind of back in 2016, you had like David Johnson, Todd Gurley, Le'Veon Bell, and Zeke Elliott were the best running backs. Since then, Gurley, Johnson, and Bell have fallen off. So to see Zeke still play well is really cool. I love Dalvin Cook. I think him and Nick Chubb are very similar in a sense. I also want to do give a shout out to Najee Harris. He's played very well for the Steelers. Elijah Mitchell's been pretty fun. He has kind of that quick burst to him. Dale Henderson, I think, has been fine. Learn Fournette's been really cool. I'm glad he's doing well with Tampa Bay. He's still powerful, but he
Mhm.
is kind of fast. I kind of see him as Joe Mixon a bit, but yeah, a lot
Yeah,
of fun
James
running back.
Conner's been playing really well as too.
He has been. He's been really good. I think if he had more yards,
Yeah.
maybe consider him.
Hmm.
Arson Eckler's been great. Same with Javante Williams for the Broncos. So a
Yeah,
lot
but
of
I really like how the Broncos have split the carries between Gordon and Williams. It kind of like I feel like they both complement each other really well. So I think that's a good reason. I think that's one of the best reasons why they've been playing good so lately is because like Williams has been playing good, and Gordon's been kind of the consistent guy all year for him.
Yeah, I do think you maybe move on from Gordon after this season and
Hmm.
try and give William full time. Also, I think that this season has proved that the Packers should have moved on from Aaron Jones. I
Yeah.
mean, AJ Dillon's been great, and everyone's like, move on from Aaron Jones, but that didn't happen. Anyways, we'll move on to wide receiver. This was really tough, but okay, so we have Jamar Chase. He's been fantastic. Not a lot to say. Does everything really well. It's nice to see the Bengals be a really good team. I think Chase, Mixon, Burrow are the main three reasons why. The defense is also nice. So then picking another wide receiver today. So you want to go with Keenan Allen. I feel like I mentioned Keenan Allen every week on this podcast. I love the dude, route running hands, just has that leadership, just so automatic. He catches really everything. He's kind of that ability to like go over the middle of the field, but can also go deep. He's been fantastic. Him and Burrow are fun to watch. Like Burrow's just on like an out route, and Allen will catch on the sideline. And then the third AFC wide receiver. So here's my thought process. I thought Tyreek Hill, he's been kind of having some quieter games. Stephon Diggs has picked it up recently, but started out slow. Michael Pittman, same kind of opposite, started out slow, but picking up recently. I do want to credit him. Marquise Brown's been really inconsistent. Jalen Waddle, people love him. I think he's good. I don't know about Pro Bowl. I'm gonna go with Hunter Renfro actually for the Raiders. I don't have I think any other Raiders on this list, but he's been really nice. I think he's kind of been underrated in the grand scheme of things. He's a super solid route runner. He can change directions really well, and I think since Darren Waller's kind of been decreasing production, Renfro's kind of been that main guy in the Raiders. He had a ton of catches on that Thanksgiving game, and he's just been really good, reliable player for Derek Carr. And he's Renfro's involved his game. He's kind of gone deep, and it's just been really great. So kind of a bit of a interesting pick here, but I definitely think that he's been the most consistent of who's left. I mean, Hill Diggs, yeah, but I don't know. I mean, it's just kind of been up and down for them. So I'm gonna go with Renfro, Chase, and Allen as the three wide receivers.
Yeah, no, Jamar Chase, that's a no-brainer for sure. He's been absolutely phenomenal. Definitely gonna probably win offensive rookie of the year. Mac Jones is making a late season push for it, but Jamar Chase has been playing phenomenal. And then Keenan Allen, beginning of the year, people are like, oh, Mike Williams is a new wide receiver one. Then Keenan Allen's just been quietly having a great year. I feel like he always kind of has a quietly great year. He's kind of not always talked about. And I really like the Hunter Renfro pick coming out of Clemson. He was always that consistent guy. Like if you need a first down, like on a 3rd and 8, he'll be the guy to get you. And he's kind of translated that over in the NFL. Especially in that Thanksgiving game, there's a lot of times where he was just that guy to make the big catch, because they have guys like Deshaun Jackson who's kind of has like one big play a game, but you have Hunter Renfrow who kind of like keeps that steady pace. And Darren Waller's been having really trouble staying on the field this year. He had to leave the Thanksgiving game early, then he really didn't play the past couple weeks. So definitely like what you said about the Hunter Renfrow. I actually like that pick a lot. I think that's an underrated pick for sure because he kind of reminds me of like a Wes Welker. Uh,
Ooh.
yeah, we're just like you need a guy to get you a first down. He's going to be that guy. Not always going to have the huge play, but always going to be that guy to move the chain. So I really like that. Yeah, this is definitely easier for me. I feel like for NFC, these top 4 guys, one of them can't make it, which is absolutely brutal because all 4 of these guys are phenomenal. But Cooper Kupp, obviously, no way he's not making the Pro Bowl. He's probably he has a good chance of winning Offensive Player of the Year, in my opinion. Kind of quieted down the past couple weeks, but I don't really know if that's because of him. I think the whole Rams team's kind of been struggling, but he's still phenomenal. And Devontae Adams, I still think he's a phenomenal player. 2nd receiving yards. He's just been absolutely a stud. He even missed the Thursday night game against the Cardinals, and he still has the 2nd most yards in the NFL. The biggest trouble for me was coming down between Deebo Samuel and Justin Jefferson. I think both these guys have had a great seasons. But I will give the edge to Deebo Samuel just because I think he does more as an overall player than Justin Jefferson. Because Deebo Samuel, I mean, if you just look at his impact on the game, he can be used in the run game as well. I know Tanner doesn't like this pick too much, but I think Deebo Samuel has been absolutely a stud for the 49ers. I'm actually a really big fan of him. It kind of sucks. I wish I could put Jefferson in as well because he's been playing like an absolute monster. But what Debo's able to do on the run game too is just really phenomenal. And he's also he's already eclipsed 1,000 yards. He's 18 yards a catch. He's been a beast.
All right, on to fullback. In all seriousness, I agree with Cup. I do. I think Justin Jefferson deserves to make it. I think that Deebo Samuel's been really good. I don't take anything away from him, but I think Jefferson's a better wide receiver, and I think Samuel's a better playmaker. I think that Jefferson's a better route runner. He can go up and get the ball more. I think he has kind of just more wide receiver traits, while Samuel is better with the ball in his hands, and he's been really good, but I don't know. That's tough. I mean, Devontae Adams, I didn't notice he was 2nd receiving. That's tough because Jefferson's been really great, but I do get that. I'm happy about Cooper Kupp. A lot of people have kind of acted like this came out of nowhere. He's always been pretty good. And like this is just kind of his role been extended, but I do see where you're coming from. Yeah, NFC is very tough. Like yeah, there's been a lot of great guys there. Fullback. So fullback, we only have 5. I mean, I don't know how you go. You go Patrick Ricard, Kyle Juszczyk, I
Yeah,
guess. Um,
I like the Patriots guy a lot too.
yeah,
Johnson.
don't even, yeah, Johnson.
And we got to put Ham in there because Thanksgiving just came around, so we got to go CJ Ham of the
He's
Vikings.
actually pretty good. He's been
Yeah,
on some nice plays, and then
I just can't see myself putting a Lions guy in the Pro Bowl.
well, we're gonna have one Jason Kambinda. It's kind of sad though about fullback. I mean, that was such a fun position to see kind of growing up. You had John Kuhn with like, the Packers when
Mhm.
Kyle Juszczyk was on the Ravens, and now it's just kind of phased out, unfortunately. I'm glad they still have that. Tight ends, this was really kind of fun and easy for me to do. So
Not
Mark
easy
and
for me.
we got Mark Andrews here, just been one of the most reliable tight ends. He gets open, great hands, and people have really realized that. I think this is kind of Mark Andrews going to that elite tier. Travis Kelsey, I mean, I'm just like, I look up and do his like 50 yards. I'm like, how? He's really fast. I think there's a lot of awesome things you can say about Kelsey, route running, hands, change of direction, blocking, but he is really fast and he hits that high gear fast. I think he really has great speed. And then third, I'm gonna go Mike Gesicki. I think that the Dolphins are winning some games. And a lot of that I think has to do with the offense with Gesicki. I think that he's so reliable and he's athletic. What I mean by athletic, because I use that term in a lot, is that he uses elements of his body to make the plays that other players can't. So he like jumps up for the ball, uses one hand, or will keep going, and he's someone who is very polished, and he really wins kind of one-on-one matchups easily. They kind of use him in a jump ball scenario. And that's what I have for tight ends. I think Dan Waller has been quieter, good start, kind of quiet since then. Pat Frymouth, the rookie's played very well as of late, but it's kind of been a quieter start. It was a quieter start, but he's been better recently. So opposite of Waller. Hunt Henry's been nice with the Patriots, same with Noah Fant, but they've kind of been inconsistent. So these are the three I have, and I hope that Gesicki makes it because the Dolphins, I think they're winning some games. And I think that Gesicki deserves some respect.
Yeah, for sure. Kelsey Andrews, easily the top two tight ends, not only in the AFC, but I think in NFL this season. Absolutely been phenomenal. And yeah, Waller's been kind of just very like hit or miss this year. And Gesicki, I really like him. He's always been really solid. I feel like I don't think he's been talked about a ton. I mean, even last year he had a great year. Um, but no, yeah, I think this is kind of like the running back situation with like the NFC, where it's like you look at the tight ends, you're like, dude, it's like a big drop off compared to like the AFC tight ends. But starting off, I'm gonna have to go Kyle Pitts with my first one. It's kind of tough to put him in there, but like I feel like I have to just because he is up there in receiving yards and he has played well. I wish he got in the end zone more, but I really don't know if that's necessarily his fault. I kind of think like the Falcons, I really don't like Arthur Smith, and I don't think Matt Ryan's played that well, so I'm not going to put it all on the rookie. But he's been honestly really good. I feel like in terms of getting like open and yards, and he's still played really well. And then the next two guys, this was extremely tough for me. Yeah, this is like really tough for me, but the other guy I'm gonna have to put in, even though he's missed a lot of games, he's still been phenomenal. And compared to the other NFC tight ends, I feel like I have to put him in. George Kittle, he just brings so much to the game, and he's still top. He's still like up there in yards and touchdowns, and he's missed a lot. He's missed like 3 games, I believe. So he's still played really well. And also, I think what a lot of people don't talk about, like Kelsey is probably the best receiving tight end, but Kittle by far is the best blocking tight end. This dude pancaked Von Miller like 3 times on that Monday Night Football game, I'm a Cardinals fan. I don't root for either of them, but I was like that made me happy because it was just cool to see him like basically just dominate the line of scrimmage. And then the last guy, I think this guy hasn't been talked about enough this year. I think he's been one of the best players on this team, Dallas Goddard. I would put him in the Pro Bowl. I think Ertz and Hawkinson make good cases, but I think Hawkinson and Ertz both have kind of had games where they're not really all there. But I think Goddard's been a really consistent player for the Eagles. Something they really haven't had this year was consistency, and I think Goddard's really been that guy for him. But no, I think Ertz makes a good case. And I also like Dalton Schultz. I think he's been a really good player. I just don't know if I'd put him in, just because I think he benefits from a lot of other playmakers around him. And you look at Goddard, and he's kind of the main guy on that team. But yeah, it's going to be my three. Kind of a tough three for the NFC because it's not a heavy tight end area for sure.
Yeah, I do not envy you of the choices you have to make. I like this year for the Pro Bowl because it's like a lot of close options. Like if Waller Mesa gets sticky, I'm like, okay, that's fine. I kind of like how it's close. I really like Dalton Schultz. I think he's been really nice with Dallas. I do love your decisions. Kittle's been really nice. Kyle Pitts, I mean, if it's more the Falcons coaching, and if anything, Goddard's been really nice and as an Eagles fan. So O-line, we're about 20 minutes in here. And I'm just gonna kind of sell my selections with O-line. So tackle here, kind of talking out loud. Um, I think that you kind of look at some of these guys. I think Rashawn Slater's been great as a rookie for the Chargers. I think he's just someone who you have to put on here. Um, I'm also gonna put, I think Onwenu has been really nice for New England. I'm deciding if I want to put him on. I'm trying to see. Taylor Lon's been pretty nice for Tennessee. And then I'm trying to see if there's anyone else I'm missing. There's a lot better NFC tackles. Yeah, I'll go with maybe Eric Fisher. Mason, who are your 3B?
My number one is Trent Williams. I
Oh,
think
yeah,
he's all the way at the bottom.
he's been really
Yeah,
good.
Trent Williams, and then Tristan Wirfs. He's been a stud ever since he came in the NFL. And then my last guy, some guy who's been consistent his whole career, Teron Armstead. the Saints. I think he's all the way at the top. Yeah, yeah. Armstead, just three guys who've always been pretty much great since entering the NFL.
Yeah, dude, Trent Williams is so underrated. No one talks about him. And then guards as it loads. So for me, this is a bit tough here looking at some of these guys here. I think that who would yours be, Mason? Well, I'll go for me, Nelson.
Yeah,
Um,
I'd go Thuney probably too. He's been pretty well.
let's see a third one. Um,
Third one. Let's see.
I feel like Joe Bitonio has been really good for the Browns. I
Yeah.
can see him on run blocking. He's good. Who would your three be?
So mine are Ali Marpet,
Okay,
right there,
good.
Zach Martin,
Oh yeah,
and then Brandon Scherf of the football team. Yeah.
yes, he's very underrated. I like the Washington representation here, and
Mhm.
then center for me is pretty easy here as it loads. Come on, just thinking about it.
It's thinking if it wants to really let us decide on centers.
Oh, it's a defense. It's a defense. Take it, leave it. I want to go David Andrews. Want to go Creed Humphrey, steal the draft.
Hmm.
Can't believe he fell. And then we'll go with Corey Linsley. He's been fantastic. Who are your three, Mason?
I got Rodney Hudson.
Oh, he's been so good for the Cardinals.
Yeah, Alex Mack, and then I'd
Okay.
probably go Jason Kelsey as my last one.
All right, pretty solid there. Now we go to defense, which definitely I think want to go through a bit faster. So for me, AFC, you gotta go Myles Garrett, dominant. The Browns have been disappointing, but I still think Garrett should be mentioned. Then second, I'm gonna go with Max Crosby. He only has 5 sacks, which is like really that's it. But I don't know. He's played really great, and he gets a lot of pressures. He's really fast. We've talked about him a lot, and I think he definitely deserves a spot. And then I'm gonna go with Jonathan Grenard. I consider Trey Hendrickson. He's been good, but I don't know. I feel like Gennard's been really nice for the Texans. I feel like he's not gonna get a ton of votes or recognition, but he's been really good. Kind of also very good at the run stopping element. He's just been really nice. I think the Texans D line, I've always said, has been good. I think he's a big reason why.
Yeah, for sure. Garrett, no brainer. Probably defensive player of the year front runner right now. Max Crosby, only 5 sacks, but he's has like one of the most pressures in the NFL. So he's really just causing chaos. And then yeah, Grenard, he's been really good. I remember when he played the Cardinals, he was an absolute
Mhm.
menace in that backfield. But going with mine, Nick Bosa, he's been really good. I feel like he's had a really quiet year. 11 sacks. He's been an absolute stud. Number two, I go Brian Burns probably. We always talk about Brian Burns on the podcast, but he's been an absolute stud for the Panthers. And then I also have Cameron Jordan. I think he only has 4 sacks, but he kind of does pretty much everything in the run game as well. He's pretty much just like a guy that like defenses will pretty much avoid as best they can, just because he causes chaos wherever he is. But definitely my top three right there for defensive end.
Yeah, Cam Jordan's just like a really great edge rusher. He has like power at the line, and then he'll get to the quarterback. He's just kind of like what you want.
Hmm.
Really underrated. Nick Bosa is having a really nice year. It's kind of weird in Nick Bosa narrative because his rookie, I thought he was pretty good, and everyone's like he's elite, and now he's like playing to elite levels. Everyone's like, who? And then Brian Burns. I don't know who we mentioned more, Brian Burns or Keenan Allen on this pod. He's really nice, and then DT. This was kind of tough for me. Um, I am gonna go with Chris Jones. I think he's one of the most underrated players, and I'll stand by that. I mean, he's just fantastic. He really helps the Chiefs. I'm gonna go with DeForest Buckner. I think that he's been really good for the Colts. I initially had Jeffrey Simmons and Cam Hayward, but I don't feel like Buckner has really been nice up front. I am gonna end with Simmons. I think he's been really great when the Titans had success. So I'll say Simmons, Jones, Buckner. Hayward's close. It's tough. I don't know. Maybe we do Hayward actually instead of Buckner. So yeah, that's would be Simmons, Jones, Hayward. I think that it's tough because I think Buckner's on the better team, but Hayward, I think, has been more of an impact to his team. I think that Steelers
Mhm.
defense has won them games, and everyone talks about TJ Watt, who's really great, but Cam Hayward, I think, deserves some respect. So that's where I'll go. Really underrated players.
Yeah, I definitely like the Chris Jones pick. He's even missed some games, but he's been an absolute monster in the middle. Jeffrey Simmons, I think he's having a quiet year. I think him, Byard and Harold Landry have really been the saving graces of that defense, which is already pretty atrocious as it is. And Cam Hayward, he's having a great year as well. I think between him and Buckner, I don't think you can go wrong. Both of those guys have been phenomenal. And talking about NFC, Aaron Donald, obviously number one. He's honestly having a quiet year. I don't think enough people are talking about him having a quiet year. I think he's still really good, but not the Aaron Donald I think we saw the previous, especially last year, and the year before when he had like 20 and a half sacks. And Jonathan Allen, I think he's easily my number two. I think coming into this year, everyone's talking about Chase Young, and I know he's out for the year, but I think the best defensive front seven person on that football team this year has definitely been Allen. Even though the defense has been really disappointing this year, I think he's been really solid. Then Kenny Clark. I've always liked Kenny Clark. He's been an absolute uh, monster in the run game. He stuffs the middle of the field like crazy. It's insane. And he's also a solid pass rusher, but he's more of like a run stuffing guy. And I don't think people appreciate those guys enough, but he's been playing absolutely great.
All I love is each of these guys do something different. Like Aaron Donald's really fast. Jonathan Allen's really strong. Like he just pows through all linemen like nothing, just like throws them aside. And Kenny Clark, like just he gets double teamed. Like you need two guys to get him. So I really love those. Kenny Clark especially, very underrated. And an inside linebacker. For me, this was kind of tough for the AFC. I think that the NFC had a lot more options who were like,
Mhm.
oh, more appealing, I guess you could say. But this sign about some of the best AFC defensive um players. So I'm gonna go with this is really tough. You have Mason has like look at all these NFC guys. You have Campbell, Smith, Wagner, Parsons, and the first guy for me is Denzel Perryman, who linebackers are tough because of numbers. I'm gonna go Darius Leonard. I really like him. Just turns the ball over. He's really instinctive in
Mhm.
coverage. I think that he is kind of interesting on the NFL award because people either love him or think he's overrated. I think he's pretty great. I think he's close to elite. I think he has elite games, but he's kind of in a pretty great tier for me. Um, I think that um, you also have to go with man, this is tough. With Tremaine Edmonds, I think he's been kind of captain of that Bills defense. I think he's really nice. He's not a huge stat guy, but he just does his job really well, makes plays. He's become a really polished player. He's very rough coming out of college. And then I am going to go with the Patriots defense. Some of the plays I'm going to get here in the next couple minutes. And that's going to start with Warren Bentley. I think he's been very underrated. Whenever I watch him, he kind of is making plays. He has 3 or 4 fumbles, 1 sack, just kind of an explosive linebacker. So that's who I have for the AFC.
Yeah, I definitely like those picks a lot. Darius Leonard easily should be in there. I think Logan Wilson makes a good case. I think he had a strong start of the year, but kind of quieted down throughout it. Tremaine Edmonds, I think ever since coming into the league, he's just been a consistent, really solid linebacker. And I really like the Jawan Bentley thing. I think he's been pretty solid throughout his career, but I think he's kind of now just getting noticed just because of how good the Patriots have been recently. But then talking about the NFC linebackers, just a lot of guys to pick from. Fred Warner, I definitely have him there. He's just been an absolute monster. I think he's gonna over time be the best. I honestly think he's the best linebacker in football. That might be a hot take. I know a lot of people still like Bobby Wagner, but breaking news: Bobby Wagner's not in my Pro Bowl. But my second one is Devondre Campbell of the Packers. He's had a really underrated season, in my opinion. He played solid with the Cardinals last year. He played solid with the Falcons at the beginning of his career, but with the Packers, he's kind of like taking this new role of being the leader of that defense almost. He kind of calls the shots. He tells like people where to line up, and I really like that a lot from him. He's always around the field, like wherever the ball is, he's kind of there, type of thing. He's not like a great and like he doesn't get a ton of picks or anything like that, but he's kind of just like a guy who understands what the offense is doing. And I think that's really valuable um, for defenses. And then my third guy, I'd go Devin White. I think my third selection is kind of hard, but I really like Devin White this year. I honestly have liked him since he came out of LSU. He's played really phenomenal. I think him and Levante David still are extreme, like a deadly duo, as you will, but absolutely great stuff from them. But then some other guys I want to talk about. Like I think a lot of people aren't talking enough about like Isaiah Simmons. I think he's had a really underrated year. I think I'm blanking out on some other guys, but yeah, I think Isaiah Simmons had a really underrated
Roquan Smith,
year.
kind of the breakout
Yeah,
year for the Bears.
yeah, Roquan Smith's had a good year. Eric Kendricks, I think that would be another great pick. I think there's a lot of inside linebackers you can go with for the NFC for sure. A really talented group of guys.
Yeah, I think we may have gone to a point where maybe Roquan Smith made the start of the Bears defense. I could see Khalil Mack maybe moving on with the Bears kind of rebuilding. I think that could be good for him to go to a different team. And Roquan Smith, I think, is kind of taking over as that captain of that defense. So I really like those picks. Devondre Campbell's been super underrated. I mean, it's insane. Fred Warner, I do really like him. I think for me, the best linebacker, I don't think there's one person. I think it's kind of a group of Kendricks, Warner, Wagner, Leonard, David, Levante David, Devin White.
Mhm.
I don't know if I would say Fred Warner is the best, but he's definitely up there. So I love that. And Devin White, I think, has been really. I just love the dude. He's fast. He's agile. I loved him coming out of college, and he's been working really well. Then outside linebacker, we got Matt Judon and TJ Watt as my first two. For the AFC, Matt Judon's had a fantastic year. As a Ravens fan, he's just so explosive when he gets to the backfield. You have seen that pan out in New England. He just gets to the backfield so fast, and he has just been having a fantastic season. And TJ Watt, he just does everything well. Sacks, tackles, forces fumbles. He's actually up the Steelers win some games. Remember that Seahawks game in like week 8 or whenever that was. He just is kind of someone who really changes the game. I know I kind of joke about TJ Watt, but and to be honest, I mean, he is just such a game changer there. I think he's really had a big season. And I'm gonna go Joey Bosa. I'm surprised they have him an outside linebacker, but okay, Pro Bowl, trust your terminology, but he's been great. I mean, Joey Bosa and Nick Bosa, the Bosa brothers are wrecking havoc. Joey Bosa's been a really great player, just kind of what you want from a pass rusher, fast, gets to the backfield. And I think that the Chargers front and defense has been disappointing at times, but Joey Bosa has been someone who's really been not disappointing. I think he's been really great. And I think that he's helped the Chargers win some games, actually get the pass rush. And, you know, I think Jalen Phillips, you can make an argument. Harold Landry, maybe. I just kind of think that he's very up and down. And then that's who I have. I think Josh Allen for the Jaguars, he's had some nice games, but ultimately I think Bosa, Judah, and Watt, that was a pretty easy 3 for me.
Yeah, for sure. TJ Watt, I think he's gonna easily lead the votes for outside linebacker this year. Probably second in defensive player of the year behind Myles Garrett at the current moment. Matt Judon, he's been so phenomenal. He does get a lot of praise, so I'm glad to see that. A lot of people call the Patriots crazy for giving him all that money because they didn't really think he was too talented. They knew he was good, but not like this level of good. He's just been an absolute beast. And then Joey Bosa, like how you said, like I don't know why they put him outside linebacker, kind of weird. Definitely was more of like a defensive end, in my opinion. But I feel like you have to put him in the Pro Bowl. He only has 7.5 sacks, but he causes a lot of chaos on the field. He opens up a ton of stuff for his teammates, which I love to see. And then talking about NFC, my first guy, another guy we always talk about, Hassan Reddick. He's so underrated this year. I love Hassan Reddick. He's been an absolute stud. And talking about another underrated guy, I think this guy is top 3 most underrated NFL player as of today. Marcus Golden. He does not get talked about enough. I feel like coming in after week 1, everyone's like, oh, Chandler Jones, JJ Watt, but like the real guy who's like stepped up in the pass rushing for the Cardinals has been Marcus Golden. He's been an absolute stud. Not only does he get to the quarterback, but he forces the ball out, which is a big game changer because he gives the offense a lot of great field position with his peanut punches and gets the ball out. Been an absolute stud. And then my last guy, Robert Quinn. Robert Quinn will go down as the weirdest NFL player in my opinion because he'll have a year where he has 15 sacks and then the next year he has 5. But now he's in the phase where he's probably going to get 15 sacks again. So I feel like you have to put him through. Khalil Mack kind of had like not a great year before he got injured, and Robert Quinn has really been that main pass rushing guy in the Bears. But yeah, Robert Quinn, he's such a weird player. I feel like I'm not wrong about this. Like he'll have like 18 sacks, and then he'll have like 2, and then he'll have like 15, and then last year he had like 6, I think, and everyone's like, oh, he's overpaid, and now he's playing phenomenal again. So just a weird player, but definitely Pro Bowl worthy in my opinion.
Let's look at Robert Quinn's stats here. All right. So this year he has 11. Last year, 2. He might have been in.
Exactly.
No, he had a good tackles. I don't think it was year before the Cowboys, 11 and a half, 6.5, 8.5, 4, 5, 10 and a half, 19 and a half, 5.
Yeah, he's the weirdest player ever, especially in terms of pass rushing. But he's playing really good this year.
Yeah, and I'm happy for him, to kind of inconsistencies, yikes in the NFL. I think that's a really good feat for him to do that. I agree. I mean, we mentioned Hassan Reddick like every podcast. Marcus Golden been very good as well. I like those selections. Corner, for me, this was AC. This was so heartbreaking because I was gonna have Trey White on this list, but he's out for the season, and I love Tre'Davious White. That's so hard to see. I'm gonna go Xavier Howard. Ball hawker has really helped the Miami Dolphins be a really great team, and kind of have some wins. I just think that it's really hard to ball hawk in today's corner game, and I think that he is just really great at it. He really is physical. He'll box out opponents, and when you really watch this, it's like, wow, he's very instinctive. He's kind of reminds me of Casey Hayward in his prime. JC Jackson as well, super underrated, just really fast player, really kind of is that Bill Belichick defensive player, instincts, very disciplined. They're really good in coverage. It's really hard to beat JC Jackson because he's very angle based. So like if you're like say running like a deep route, like maybe a post or something, you like angle it like to like the bottom left. Like I don't know. You just watch him. It's like, how did he make that play? And then find the third corner. I'm gonna go Patrick Surtain. No one else really jumped to my mind for the AFC. But I mean, Surtain's been great as a rookie, had a great game against Justin Herbert. He's been really nice. And I think the Broncos defense has been a good element. I think Surtain kind of reminds me of Xavier Howard, kind of ball hawking player. And I think you see a lot of similarities. So I think Pat Surtain should make it as a rookie, or at least get some votes. And that's why with Tre'Davious White's in there. It's him, but unfortunately he's injured. So I'm gonna go Pat Surtain.
Yeah, I think the Dolphins should be lucky. They haven't traded Xavier Howard yet because I think he's proving why they should keep him on their team for a little bit longer. But talking about my first guy, I feel like this is obvious pick. Trayvon Diggs of the Cowboys. He's been an absolute stud this year. He had a really great start of the year, not as big as he was at the beginning of the year, but still nonetheless, he's been a phenomenal player. I mean, 8 interceptions. He leads the league right now. He'll probably end, I feel like he'll end with double-digit picks, which I don't think we've seen. We rarely see it, honestly. And then talking about my second guy, Jalen Ramsey. He's just a lockdown corner. He has 3 picks this year, which is actually really good for him because not a lot of people like to target him for good reason because you really can't pass the ball on him. And then my last guy, this is really tough, but I think I'm gonna have to go with Darius Slay, especially the way he's been playing these past couple of weeks. He's been phenomenal. Kind of had a disappointing first year with the Eagles, but he's really played phenomenal this past couple weeks and overall this year. So definitely my 3 will be Diggs, Slay, and Ramsey.
Trayvon Diggs is really interesting because no matter who you ask, people like he's overrated, underrated. I think he's been pretty good. I think you can't ignore the interceptions. I think Jalen Ramsey's been great. He's just kind of locked down. We kind of know who he is. And Darius Slay's been great. As an Eagles fan, it's been nice to see him make big plays. And then we'll go to the safeties here. Safeties were really tough. So I'm going to kind of group them together. Derwin James, joining Hassan Reddick, Brian Burns, and Keenan Allen in the players we mentioned in the podcast is Derwin James. Fantastic player. I don't honestly think I need to say that much else. I'm going to go with Jordan Poyer. I think he's been really good for the Bills, just kind of solid, doesn't give up a ton. He's been, I think, one of the more underrated players. I think, yeah, he was a former Packer, I believe. No, that's Micah Hyde, but he's been really great. And then the third safety I'm gonna have is gonna be Tyron Matthew. He's just been very good for this season, so that's who I have for the AFC strong safeties. And then free safeties, I'm gonna move on here. We're gonna go Justin Simmons, one of my favorite players, just has had, I think, a couple picks, I think kind of like some game winning ones. Wanna go and find Jesse Bates, very underrated as well. Simmons and Bates are some of the most underrated players in the league. They're just great ball hawking guys, make great plays, and then Kevin Byard as well. He's just been a really excellent player this year, as he always is. So that's all I have for safeties. Mason, who do you have for the NFC as we kind of wrap things up here?
My safety is definitely need to throw Harrison Smith in there. I don't think he's having a Harrison Smith type of year, but still solid nonetheless. Then another guy who's always just consistently good, Buda Baker. And then rounding it off with another NFC West guy, a guy who gets a lot of hate, but Jamal Adams, I think he's still a really good safety. He's not a ball hawk or good in coverage, but he still provides a lot in the run game and pass rushing. So definitely have to throw him in there. And then free safety, I'll have to go with Jamal Adams' counterpart, Quandre Diggs. I think he's honestly really underrated. I think Quandre Diggs is closer to Jamal Adams than people really think. I think he's been actually really good. And then if you scroll down, I was looking at blanking out on his name, Marcus Williams, the Saints. He's been phenomenal as well. He's kind of turned his career around ever since the Minneapolis Miracle situation. But then my last one, Antoine Winfield. I really like him as a player for that Buccaneers defense. Kind of just fits that Buccaneers culture where he's just like a very like hard hitting safety and a guy who kind of just like he's not going to be friends with you on the field. He'll be friends with you off the field, but when it's on the field, it's strictly business. I really like that about him, especially with his Tyreek Hill thing in the Super Bowl. Kind of shows me how like kind of like a trash talker he is, which I really like about him.
Yeah, I love the Winfield Williams selections. I honestly disagree with Quandre Diggs over Xavier McKinney. I think Diggs, he's very solid, but I don't know. I just don't see anything elite about him. McKinney's very instinctual. And I think he's had 5 picks, and one of those was like a Reyes pick six, and one was against the Eagles to help them win. But I definitely do like the other selections. So we'll move on to special teams. Is there a reason you have Diggs over McKinney? Just kind of, I'm just curious.
No, I think they're just kind of similar players, but I definitely could see McKinney being in there for sure. He's been playing really good this year.
He has been. Now we go to special teams, Ryan Mason. Who should we add here? Nick Folk, maybe. He's been nice for the Patriots. I feel like consistently
Yeah,
we go him, Justin Tucker. Who's another AFC kicker? Howard Bass maybe he's been nice.
yeah, he's been playing good. Carlson after that Thursday night game, hard not to put him in. He's been playing good.
What's going
Um,
with him? And then NFC, who's been making some game winning kicks? Cardinals Matt Prater.
mhm,
I feel like Ryan Suckup's had a couple. You think of week one, and then
yeah,
there's a lot of good kickers.
Matt Gay's been pretty good too this year for
That's
the.
one. Yeah, there we go. Evan McPherson's been nice ever since that Packers game. He's been good. Jake Elliott for the Eagles has been nice. Max Crosby's been up and down. Long snapper. Oh my goodness.
We gotta go Cheeseman,
Uh,
obviously.
Morgan Cox is actually pretty good in all seriousness. He's pretty good for the Titans. I'll say maybe Ferguson.
The
Uh,
other Ferguson, the two Fergusons,
um,
the brothers.
and then Harris, boom. No, we actually. Who else is good? I feel like Luke Rivaldo is actually good for the Eagles. As an Eagles fan, we'll go with him. And then punters. Okay, there's actually been some good punters. The Packers punter has been really good. I'm forgetting his name. Um,
Oh, I know who you're talking about. They got him from. They traded from the Rams. Yeah, that guy.
Workez, he's been nice. Riley, maybe Riley Dixon. Austin Cole's been good for the Rays, and then Bailey for the Patriots is getting.
Mhm. Oh, Dixon's a beast. Dixon's a
Yeah,
stud.
and then who? So we have one more A. We have one more each. Me and Colton Johnson, man, and I think he's been pretty nice. You know, Texans defense has been willing to put some in good. No Polarity. I'll put him
Yeah,
there. I think he's been.
Johnson's kind of terrifying me. Um,
And then maybe Bradley Pinion.
Yeah, we
No,
can go.
Mitch Wisnowski. Oh no, we have to put Mitch
Oh
Wisnowski.
yeah,
He's like really good. There's some good punters in the league. I think it's a very underrated position. And then
oh, return specialist. All right,
our
definitely need Agnew in there.
yeah, for the Jaguars. I think why is he not up here more? Come on. Um,
Maybe he's under. Oh, maybe he's under punt return. Maybe is that what it is? Oh no, it's return specialist, bro. Why is he not here? And Tony
uh
Pollard, I'd put in there for sure.
yeah, he's been great. I feel like Ronnie McLeod's been pretty nice.
Andre Roberts always makes it. I feel like he's always a stud.
Who else? Jakeem Grant has been very good for the Bears. I know he's been good. Who else has been good? Devin Duvernay's been fine for the Cordell Patterson. You sent him twice. That'll be funny. Braxton Berrios actually been good for the Jets. I want to
What
give
about Jalen Rager?
James Darden. No, Rondell Moore has been good for the Cardinals as a return. And then special teams, the final category. Let's see who we have here.
Matthew Slater. You always got to put Mr. Slater in there
Um,
if he's in there at least.
Trent Cannon's been very good for San Francisco. I feel like he's had a couple forced fumbles.
Dennis Gardeck, beast.
We'll put him there, and then I'm trying to
Oh,
think.
there's Slater. Got to put the go special teams in there.
I feel like Morgan. I feel like he's been pretty good. Oh, Salone He's been good. So those are the three AFC and one more NFC. Mason.
Let's go with
I'm trying to. I've heard Burks. Yeah, he's pretty good. For Green Bay. Alrighty, so I like that. I think every team has a Pro Bowler, maybe.
yeah. Especially the Lions got one with their fullback, so there's that.
Oh, hold on. We do need to edit something. Okay, we actually have Trey White as a Pro Bowl instead of Darius Slay. Hold on. But Mason, what games are you excited for this week?
I'm definitely excited for the Cardinals one. I've been like itching to watch Kyler Murray. Hopefully D Hop play. I'm not sure if D Hop will play, but I definitely know Kyler will because he put the Thanos gif on Twitter. Basically, it's like the Thanos waking up to the good morning thing after he like snaps his fingers. So I think he's definitely gonna play this week.
Wait, did he actually?
Yeah. So I've been itching to watch him play again. Ravens Steelers, that's always going to be a good rivalry. Those games are always going to be really good. And I think the Steelers have been playing really well throughout the season. Nothing crazy than the Ravens, #1 seed. And the Patriots and Bills Monday night game. I'm really excited for that. I'm just curious to see if the Bills are really like contenders or pretenders. I think this game's going to say a lot. Like I think the Patriots are pretty much contenders at this point, but the Bills are really inconsistent. So I think if they can come out with a win against the Patriots, I'll take them more seriously.
Yeah, well, to get our thoughts on these games, please check out the prediction video, which I think should actually be up at this time. That's going to do it for this podcast, everyone. A bit of a longer episode, but we took a week off. I thought it'd be good to kind of do a nice video here talking about the Pro Bowl. Hope y'all enjoy football this week, and then we'll be back here as we submit our votes here as it loads as frames per hour as we do our predictions. Everyone, thank you for the Pro Bowl. This was an episode, and thank you for the support. This was a lot of fun to do, and tell everyone take care and bye-bye.